Tonight, a teen hooning at double the speed limit. Fresh frustration this hour from our WA police. Jack Davey's parents lay bare their grief in a heartbreaking tribute to their 11-year-old son. Crash shock in Meadow Springs. Police pounce on a stolen car. 1 year's rain in 8 hours. Catastrophic flash floods in Spain leave 95 dead. Donald Trump takes out the trash, the garbage controversy engulfing the US election. And live to Perth's spookiest street on Halloween.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thomson.
Good evening. Frustration is growing within WA Police tonight as two Perth P-plate drivers are busted hooning at unbelievable speeds, one double the limit on the Mitchell Freeway. Their high-powered cars seized and impounded as our top traffic cop says it's not extra officers on the road that's needed.
Hooning down the Mitchell Freeway clocked, doing 200 kilometres an hour. This is the type of reckless behaviour police are desperate to stamp out.
It beggars belief why you would travel so fast on that road.
The 18-year-old Wanneroo driver eventually arrested, and he's not the only one with a need for speed. This BMW impounded, with the P-plater behind the wheel caught 94 kilometres above the speed limit on Tonkin Highway.
He's had his licence for 2 months and he's owned the car for a week.
Officers frustrated their message isn't getting through.
We could have 500 more police officers, but what's going to stop a 17 or an 18-year-old lad?
For one mother, it's too late. Her teenage son, Levent, was killed in a wet weather accident in Jarrahdale just last month.
1 week before his 18th birthday, just on an average work day for him.
Georgia Cipriano now joining the chorus of grieving parents. She's welcoming Tom's law, restricting the number of passengers P-platers can ride with. She wants learner drivers to spend more time behind the wheel.
Most of his hours were done over the summer period. There wasn't very many rainy hours experience, and they're not compulsory.
More than 150 people have died on our roads this year, with young men significantly overrepresented. Experts labelling those drivers as vulnerable, their ability to make informed decisions still lacking.
The parts of the brain that are slower to develop are those parts that are associated with things like impulse control, risk assessment, decision making.
Georgia's facing a new reality, hoping her son's short life isn't just another statistic.
Having to sign for an autopsy minutes after you found out your child's passed away. It's a parent's worst nightmare.
Rachel Clifford, 9 News.
Jack Davey's grieving parents today somehow summoned up the courage to share their grief, to honour and remember a son they call their champion. 2 days after the 11-year-old was killed at his school, Michael and Jade Davey thanked the community.
A mother and father who sent their little boy to school and will never see him again.
Words can't adequately describe the utter devastation we feel as we come to terms with the sudden, overwhelming loss of our Jack.
Dad, Michael, taking comfort in knowing his young son made a big impact to the lives of many.
He is our beloved son and brother who remains very much alive in our hearts and memories as we piece together our lives with his spirit going forward.
Among the heartbreak, gratitude.
Our heartfelt thanks to Millie, the Auburn South school receptionist, and the former emergency department nurse who stayed with Jack, providing comfort the entire time. We find comfort in reading the many messages and memories of Jack. Personally, he is our champion.
Those messages lay outside the Auburn South Primary School grounds. Simple words written in chalk from students, friends, loved ones and strangers, as well as the Premier and Education Minister, Ben Carroll, who visited to pay their respects. Jack was passionate about sport, recently representing Australia in the Futsal Championship in Fiji.
Look, I walk in, he gives me a big smile and a hello, and it's going to be very weird to rock up tomorrow and he's not going to be there.
At tomorrow's weekly futsal tournament, black armbands will be worn and a minute's silence held before each match in honour of Jack. The 11-year-old was sitting at a table with friends when an SUV drove through the school fence on Tuesday, killing Jack and sending 4 others to hospital. 3 students remain in a stable condition. The 4th has been discharged. The tragedy leaving even the top cop for road policing shaking his head.
It's like a punch in the gut every time.
The 40-year-old behind the wheel is a P-plater and suffered a broken nose. It's understood the Hawthorn woman has no prior driving offences. Police are still trying to work out if and when charges will be laid. A GoFundMe page for the Davey family has raised nearly $180,000 and another $63,000 has been raised for the surviving victims, with those numbers climbing by the hour.
Finally, we wish to thank the community. You have wrapped your arms around our family, providing comfort, peace and support in a time of unspeakable tragedy. We will never be able to adequately convey our thanks, but for now, we thank you.
Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
A wild police pursuit has come to a crashing end. An alleged stolen car ploughing into the front yard of a southern suburbs home. Police say a black Subaru was being chased along Camden Way in Meadow Springs about 8 o'clock this morning when it lost control.
Just chaos, absolute chaos. There was more than one siren. I think there was 8 cop cars in total. Just people screaming everywhere. Cops were yelling.
A 34-year-old woman is tonight charged with 5 offences, including reckless driving and no authority to drive. The sale of a popular and potentially deadly party gas is tonight banned in WA. Nangs, following vapes, now no longer allowed to be sold over the counter. But as 9 News discovered, both products are still readily available.
These giant gas canisters are now outlawed, but that didn't stop 9 News getting our hands on one from the very first store we tried.
Made up to a pack of cream chargers.
Cream chargers. If you want, I can give you a canister. You know,
the big ones.
From today, selling Nangs, big or small, is banned.
We made this announcement a number of months ago. There will be no period of grace. We will be enforcing compliance from today.
Nangs are a party gas. Users inhale nitrous oxide for a cheap thrill or worse. Molly Day was a Quinns Rocks teenager whose abuse landed her in hospital.
Can't walk, can't control anything. It's so deadly.
She's doing well now, but the state government won't risk cases like hers. Only food businesses can now buy Nangs. It follows a similar ban on vapes, in place since 2014. But illegal nicotine still floods our streets.
Like my strawberry watermelon ice, please. How much for one? 50p.
From today, you're supposed to need a prescription.
So we will be doubling our compliance efforts.
If caught selling Nangs, retailers face $6,000 on-the-spot fines, $30,000 for repeat offenders, more for selling vapes. Industry insiders say the fines aren't enough to deter sellers. Many just incorporate them into the cost of doing business. But in the last year, only 3 have been convicted. Conor McGovern, 9 News.
Furious text messages from Andre Rebello's influencer girlfriend to him at the time he's accused of murdering his mother have been revealed in court. A jury also shown the flurry of messages from siblings after Colleen Rebello was found dead.
In the window of time, prosecutors say Andre Rebello was murdering his mother. His glamorous influencer girlfriend couldn't reach him. The frantic messages from Gracie Piscopo to the alleged killer today revealed. Answer your phone. Where are you? OMG, I swear to God, Andre. Do you not have a phone? What is wrong with you? Answer, for sake. I'm fuming at you. I'm so angry. Hours later, the youngest Rebello sibling, Fabian, who had discovered their mother in the shower of their Bicton home, begins texting his siblings. First, his older sister, Monique. It's bad. There's ambulance here. Can you come home? Then, his accused killer brother. Answer, please. Mum is dead. Please come here. Please, Andre. Messages from Colleen Rebello's phone also shown to the jury, revealing the accused had asked his mother the day she was found dead if she was free to babysit his young son, before 2 of her other children desperately tried to reach her. Are you okay? Are you all good? Andre Rebello denies murdering his mother but admits he forged documents to try to access $500,000 worth of life insurance policies he took out in her name. Prosecutors say the 28-year-old needed the money to keep up with his girlfriend's lavish lifestyle. Ezra Holt, 9 News.
After days attacking the PM over Qantas flight upgrades, Peter Dutton has revealed Australia's richest person, Gina Rinehart, put on a special flight for him at the request of his office. Government ministers now calling out the opposition leader for hypocrisy.
Flying high on whose dime? The opposition still in furious pursuit of Anthony Albanese for supposedly soliciting flight upgrades from former Qantas boss Alan Joyce.
What's at stake here is the Prime Minister's integrity, and he has been dishonest.
But Peter Dutton's cosy relationship with Australia's richest person is now in the political crosshairs.
They've held themselves up to be saintly, and they're not.
Now, tonight we can hear the Honourable Peter Dutton.
The opposition leader revealing his office had asked Gina Rinehart to put on a plane for him so he could attend a Bali memorial service in Sydney, but only after being denied an Air Force jet and pricing a private charter at $40,000.
The cheaper option for the taxpayer was for my office to speak to Mrs Rinehart's office as to whether the plane might be available. That was at zero cost to the taxpayer.
Taxpayers didn't pay for the PM's Qantas flight upgrades either, but it's the access and influence they might have bought that's in question, especially when Qatar Airways wants to compete in the domestic market.
Why he went against the department's advice, why he went against the inclination of the current Transport Minister in relation to allowing Qatar in.
Mr Albanese says he didn't call, text or email Alan Joyce to ask for upgrades, all of which have been declared. National Senator Bridget McKenzie, who's been leading the coalition attack on the PM, now checking her own flight freebies.
If there are inconsistencies with my public declarations, I will absolutely make those changes.
Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
And the Australian Financial Review is reporting tonight Gina Rinehart's Hancock Prospecting has bought the main table at a Liberal Party event at Crown. Conor McGovern, it's a who's who of the opposition.
Michael, tonight's gala dinner is for Liberal Party royalty. Former Prime Ministers Tony Abbott and John Howard joining the man who wants to live in the lodge, Peter Dutton. Mr Howard is hitting the campaign trail in WA.
I always like to help out when I'm asked, and I've been asked.
Now, former WA Premiers Richard Court and Colin Barnett will walk into the room with the woman who wants to be our head of state come March next year, Libby Metham. Tonight is a celebration of 80 years of the Liberal Party. It's not a fundraiser per se, but a mixer with party donors with deep pockets. Michael, Mr Dutton has been in town since Tuesday. He's expected to leave tomorrow.
Connor, thank you. Flash flooding in Spain has claimed almost 100 lives and caused bridges and buildings to crumble. Towns in the country's southeast recording more than a year's worth of rain in just 8 hours.
A flash flooding disaster. Powerful torrents flushing cars away like children's toys. Emergency crews on the ground and in the air struggling to keep up with calls for help. 1,000 soldiers have been deployed to assist with rescue efforts. Stranded in filthy water, a woman clutches her dog and a bag of belongings, the most important possessions she can hold, as a rescuer drops from a helicopter. A fight to keep heads above water as she's attached to a winch and hoisted to safety. She's one of the luckier ones. Dozens killed in what's been called Spain's worst natural disaster in decades. And many are still missing. Our country has been hit by the worst storm so far this century, Spain's Prime Minister says, as he pledged support for victims. Ground zero is Valencia and the surrounding area in the country's southeast. Nearby town Shiva recording 491 millimetres of rain, a year's worth in just 8 hours. The torrential downpour eventually easing, receding waters slowly revealing the destruction. Roads crumbled away, cars strewn, homes ruined. Messages of condolences from Spain's King Felipe and the President of the European Union. Portugal, Italy and Germany among nations offering support. A red weather alert remains in place for areas as far north as Barcelona. The number of dead still rising, an unimaginable clean-up beginning, and a warning the threat isn't over yet. In London, Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
Trash talk dominated the US election today as Donald Trump got behind the wheel of a rubbish truck. He staged the stunt after Joe Biden called his supporters garbage, a comment causing big headaches for Kamala Harris.
Donald Trump wants to be on the road to victory with an unusual theme of the final week of the presidential race.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honour of Kamala and Joe Biden.
Spooky season at the White House. Joe Biden had shudders ripping through the Harris campaign.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The president insists he was only talking about one Trump supporter, this comedian who spoke at the Republican candidate's Madison Square Garden rally.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
But at first chance, the vice president distanced herself from the man who handed her the baton.
I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
Joe Biden's blunder drawing comparisons with this from 2016.
You could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
For Donald Trump, it was a gift.
Crooked Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage.
But Kamala's Latino supporters are backing her in.
Kamala wants to unite us. We're not trash. I want to say we're not trash. We're good people.
Trash talking of a different kind from Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former Republican governor endorsing Kamala Harris, turned the page and put this junk behind us as she tried to clean up her campaign.
Pennsylvania remains the largest prize among the battleground states, and today Donald Trump has claimed without evidence that there is widespread voter fraud here.
There is no voter fraud going on. In fact, the system is working as it should work. This is Donald Trump trying to line up his backup plan.
The former president is leaving conditions on accepting defeat.
Oh, if they find no evidence of cheating anywhere, I'll accept the results.
But just whose White House bid will be binned remains unknown.
I hope you enjoyed this garbage truck. Thank you very much.
In Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
Optus has apologised hours after the ACCC accused it of pressuring vulnerable people into buying services they didn't want, need or could afford. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission alleged the telco acted improperly towards 429 deliberately targeted customers, some living with intellectual disabilities.
We also allege that the conduct continued after management became aware of the failings in the system.
The company says the relevant staff have been sacked. Woolworths came under fire today at its annual shareholder meeting following a year of scandals, fending off criticism from struggling customers. The supermarket is also in the sights of staff battling to make ends meet.
Woolworths turns 100 this year, but instead of celebrating, it's in damage control.
Woolworths Group is not perfect.
But it's not dodgy either, according to the chairman, who today called out the ACCC for dragging it to court.
While we disagree with their assessment that the price dropped program was misleading, we are committed to working constructively with them.
The annual meeting was a baptism of fire for new CEO Amanda Bardwell, and while investors peppered questions, it was 64-year-old staff member Joe Wright who stole the show.
It's actually becoming unaffordable for me to work at Woolworths.
Calling out executive bonuses and asking for a livable wage.
My $26.04 an hour is just not cutting it, I'm afraid.
Woolworths yesterday announced $18 billion in sales for just July, August and September, a 4.5% increase. But the share price has actually crumbled roughly 19% so far this year.
Here's the thing.
If they're price gouging, they're doing a very, very bad job of it because profits are going backwards. The share price has gone almost nowhere in a decade.
If shareholders are unhappy, shoppers are more unhappy. Woolworths and Coles are the corporate faces of inflation because they sell the stuff we need. And over the last 3 years, CPI data shows the price of essentials like bread, milk, eggs, cooking oils and chicken have soared, while real disposable incomes have fallen. The supermarkets say it's not their fault, but the damage has been done anyway. Last year, Woolies was Australia's most trusted brand. Now it's number 227. Chris Kohler, 9 News.
Golden girl Nina Kennedy has been nominated as WA's Young Australian of the Year, the Paris pole vault gold medalist, considered for her sporting achievements and the work she does in the community, sharing her expertise and motivating young athletes. She'll find out if she's won on November 12 of this year. It's been a hot Thursday across the city this Halloween, and Kelly Haywood, it hasn't stopped the ghouls and ghosts out there in North Beach.
No, it certainly hasn't, Tomo. We've got plenty out here. We've got some monsters, we've got some skeletons, we've got a little ninja, some dinosaurs. I even found I was matching with some minions before. But guys, are we having fun tonight? I apologise for your ears. It is a beautiful evening this evening. It hasn't cooled too much from our day's maximum of 33.3 degrees. Ever so slightly warmer across the suburbs today. Swan Valley was the warmest spot across the metro, reaching 34 degrees, closely followed by Pearce. Now, for all of the kids still heading out tonight for trick-or-treating, you have a bit of sunshine left. We are expecting the sun to set in around half an hour, with the mercury right now hovering around 26, dipping into the early 20s by 8 o'clock tonight. Now, we do still have, following our string of sunny days, we do have some rain on the way, Tomo, but we'll have more on that from us here in North Beach a little later. Say bye, everyone.
A perfect night and the kids perfectly behaved. Kelly, thank you. Almost 1 million Aussies owed Medicare rebates. Next, how to claim your cash. A new forecast on just how high Perth's median house price could go. Australia's climate snapshot revealing a future deep in crisis. And later, the insurance gamble that could halve your premiums. Perth's median house price is on track to grow by another 25% this year. REWA says if the current trajectory continues, our median house price could hit $750,000, while the median unit price is likely to head past $500,000. WA's housing market is being driven by strong population growth, our state just reaching 3 million people, and building industry constraints. Every 2 years, the state of our climate goes under the microscope. Latest findings show more extreme heat, longer bushfire seasons, and increasingly intense rainfall are on the way.
Our weather and climate affects all Australians every day.
And right now, the forecast remains bleak. The Bureau of Meteorology and the CSIRO's 2-yearly report is worse than their last update.
Globally, 2023 was the warmest year on record.
Australia is becoming hotter and the weather more extreme. And the widely held view is we only have ourselves to blame.
Greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, are at the highest levels seen on Earth in at least 2 million years.
The data for Down Under shows the continent has warmed 1.5 degrees Celsius in 100 years. And it's predicted in the next 2 decades that figure could double. The bushfire risk is worsening, with some regions reporting an extra 25 days of dangerous fire weather each year. And the waters surrounding Australia are soaking up that heat, warming by almost 1.1 degrees. These were our oceans in 2022, the darker, the warmer. And in the last 2 years, the spread significant.
A shift towards more extreme heat events, heat waves, marine heat waves.
So they looked at the data and came up with the facts, but the experts stress it's not their job to come up with a solution. So today we asked the Federal Climate Minister, Chris Bowen, but he refused to be interviewed and instead offered up a statement. It included only the Albanese government has a credible plan to act on climate change.
We need to reduce our emissions, we need to decarbonise. But we can't send families and businesses broke doing it.
In the meantime, we've been warned to brace ourselves for a summer of cyclones and bushfires. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
It's not a common occurrence, a missed refund from Medicare, but it might mean you owed hundreds or thousands of dollars. There's a simple reason behind it, as federal politics reporter Claudia Verdoljak explains.
It's usually the government chasing Australians for money, but tonight they're chasing thousands of people yet to collect cash they're entitled to. More than $240 million in unclaimed Medicare rebates is yet to be handed out to almost 1 million Australians. These are people who have had a trip to the doctor but are waiting on a refund because their bank details aren't up to date. The average amount owed is about $260, with some owed in excess of $10,000. Young people are missing out the most.
Everywhere in Australia, there's 930,000 people who are owed money, and literally it's not that hard to get.
It's quick to claim. Once your details are updated on the MyGov app or online, the payment will be made in 3 working days. There is a reminder, though, to watch out for scams. Services Australia will not send links via text or email.
The hidden health risks facing some of our children next. Which Perth schools fall into WA's worst pollution danger zones? Pressure on manufacturers to reduce the hidden salt in processed foods. A boost to locally produced oysters. Our special report from Albany. And later, the insurance quick fixes that deliver big savings but come with a risk. We know outside play is crucial to our child's development, but a new report is highlighting a hidden danger to their health. The Climate Council says Perth's traffic emissions are putting kids at risk of long-term health conditions.
Playtime in the schoolyard, where kids thrive. But a new report exposes a potential threat.
Air pollution was responsible for more ill health than passive smoking.
Airborne hazards like car emissions at risk of causing serious harm, asthma attacks, reduced lung function, respiratory infections, even developmental delays.
Health impacts can occur even at very low levels of air pollution.
And our kids are in the danger zone.
It's really disappointing that we're not providing a clean, healthy space for kids to play and to learn in.
A new report by the Climate Council reveals more than a fifth of Perth schools and childcare centres are within 100 metres of a major road. Perth City, WA's worst polluted region. 57 schools, that's 55%, are near busy roads, followed closely by Cottesloe, Claremont and Gosnells.
We have all the solutions at our fingertips. You know, there are things we can do very quickly to improve air quality.
Simple steps like riding instead of driving, to our government providing better public transport, and to car makers investing in more fuel-efficient vehicles and EVs.
First and foremost, we need to make sure that our governments are doing everything they can to cut harmful climate pollution.
These things are monitored by the regulatory agencies, Public Health and DWER, and should things exceed recommended levels, then action is taken.
We can't move schools and childcare centres, but we can clean up the air.
Brooke Comerford, 9 News.
Everyday Australians consume about 5 teaspoons of salt, and that's why the federal government is being urged to mandate lower levels of sodium in packaged goods. Research published in The Lancet today shows lowering our intake could prevent up to 40,000 heart attacks and strokes over the next decade. We're being promised more WA oysters this summer, with a harvest underway right now in our Great Southern. Andrew and Nicola Forrest company Lewin Coast boosting supply as they make their mark on the rock oyster market.
Freshly shucked straight from Albany's Oyster Harbour. This is Lewin Coast's first ever commercial-sized harvest. Fresh river water mixing with salt water, creating a perfectly balanced oyster.
So Oyster Harbour is a very unique system. Water quality is really high.
From the ocean to the table, you can taste the WA difference.
They are beautifully creamy oysters. They're the best oysters I've ever tasted, and I've travelled all over the world.
That quality recently recognised the Forest-owned company winning 3 gold medals at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. Now a plan to make a dent in an industry dominated by the East.
They haven't really had a material choice when it comes to West Australian rock oysters.
These Albany oysters are expected to supply more than half of the WA market this season, meaning we won't be relying on the eastern states as much, and more West Aussies will be able to get their hands on this delicacy grown in our own backyard.
From our perspective, delivering a really fresh, pristine oyster out of Oyster Harbour and sending it up to Perth, we think should deliver the best quality for WA customers this year.
But as a premium product, prices are unlikely to come down. Still, it's hoped these local delights will make their way onto our plates.
I'd be very disappointed if anyone, especially in WA, wasn't eating a WA oyster for Christmas.
Sarah Smith, 9 News.
Perth's overnight millionaires. After sport, how a ticket bought on a whim changed the lives of 15 workers. And the insurance gamble that could halve your premiums. But first, Matthew Pavlich is here with Sport and Pav. A tough day for the Test opener candidates.
Yeah, it sure was, Tomo. The so-called batsman battle for the first Test hasn't exactly gone to plan. A costly call for Cam as the other leading contenders fail to fire. Luckless Luke makes an early exit from the Eagles, and after some truth serum, what does Petrarca really think of the D's culture? Well, just 3 weeks out from the West Test, and Cameron Bancroft has failed to impress in one of his final auditions, scoreless in Australia A's clash against India A. But 2 of his 3 rivals for the opening spot also struggling to fire, with 14 wickets falling on a dramatic first day.
The first true test of the opening batsman battle ready to launch, although the contenders failing to take off.
Constas is gone. 3rd ball duck for the youngster.
The 19-year-old quickly joined by an experienced campaigner.
Given. And Bancroft is furious.
Well, we talk about a bat off. At the moment, it's a duck off.
Sam Constas and Cam Bancroft gone for ducks, while Marcus Harris only made 17.
It's a poor shot from Harris,
who only hours earlier was backed alongside Bancroft as the front-runners for the vacant Test opening position.
There's a lot of context and consideration around body of work for those senior players in Marcus Harris and Cameron Bancroft, and clearly Sam Constas hasn't had that ability to have that body of work behind him because of the limited Shield cricket that he's played, and then Nathan McSweeney's somewhere in the middle of that.
The Queenslander, the final contender, making a fist of things in Mackay, batting 4th, the Australian A captain digging deep, surviving 110 balls to finish the day unbeaten on 29, keeping his side in the fight and his Test dream alive.
We're genuine in the fact that we haven't made a decision, and we don't tend to make decisions until we have to, and that will be at the end of the second Australia A game.
The opener off to a flyer.
First ball wicket for Jordan Buckingham.
Paceman Brendan Doggett dominating, taking 6 for 15 to skittle India A for 107.
There you go. Doggett has 6.
Matthew Simbacus, 9 News.
West Coast has confirmed midfielder Luke Edwards will step away from the game with ongoing concussion issues. The 22-year-old seeking medical advice at the end of the season after a number of serious head knocks, forcing him to depart Lathlane after 37 games in 4 years. He's the 11th change to the West Coast list ahead of next month's draft. Well, Melbourne forward Joel Smith has reportedly been hit with a 4-year ban for drug use and trafficking. The 28-year-old testing positive to cocaine following a match last August before then being the subject of a Sports Integrity Australia investigation. More details are expected to be released with the official report tomorrow. And still with Melbourne, and star Christian Petrarca is ready to hit the ground running this pre-season, but the midfielder isn't convinced the Demons have fixed all of those off-field issues. It comes on the same day as CEO Gary Pert handed in his resignation.
If there's truth in wine, Christian Petrarca may still have some doubts about the D's.
And you're happy with the culture at the club?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think for me, culture is an interesting word.
Melbourne's culture has been in the spotlight for the last 2 years, and Petrarca wanted out. But today, the star mid assured fans his blood runs red and blue.
And we've had healthy conversations, and that's awesome, like any industry. And I love my job, I'm passionate about footy, and that's all I'm really focusing on right now.
So you're fully committed to the D's this season?
Yes, of course, yes.
While Petrarca is on board, Chief Executive Gary Pert is on the way out, 12 months on from this.
Our culture at the club, our men and women's programs, is the best I've seen in 40 years.
Perth's resignation comes as Petrarca's good mate, former skipper Nathan Jones, prepares to join Melbourne's coaching ranks.
For me, getting good people through the door is the right thing. And yeah, he's just an amazing person. Obviously, captain of the footy club for a long time. And to get people like him who've got great leadership skills, it would be awesome.
Petrarca hasn't played since he suffered 4 broken ribs and a lacerated spleen in June. But he recently returned from a training camp in Austria.
It was awesome. I really needed it. Obviously, with my injury, obviously had a compromised year. So to get over there and train and was just amazing. I'm in a really good headspace with everything. And
the 28-year-old had his first contact session yesterday and hopes to be fit and firing come round 1.
I think the good thing about pre-season is, it's 5 months of it. So, I think that you don't want to be peaking in November.
Nat Unides, 9 News.
Wally Lup coach Lisa Webb is adamant her side's best is enough to compete with anyone with a real shot at this year's premiership. The Dockers ready for their last game before finals against the Bulldogs on Sunday.
The comp is continually improving. You wouldn't think that Collingwood would be where they are, so you just can't go into any match underestimating any team. We know we've got a mountain of work to be able to play against those top 4 teams, but we're up for the challenge.
Vice-captain Hayley Miller likely to return from a calf injury that sidelined her for the last 3 weeks. And Wildcats coach John really hopes his side can use Jesse Wagstaff's massive milestone as extra motivation in tomorrow night's Hawks clash. The 38-year-old set to equal Perth legend Ricky Grace's 482 games at the club.
You would have to be hiding under a really large rock not to know what's going on for Jesse and that great accomplishment. So we certainly will want to reflect and use it.
Star Ty Webster will return from an adductor injury, which saw him miss last week. It is a huge game for the Cats, as we said last night. Congratulations to Jesse. Let's hope the RAC Arena is packed out.
Fingers crossed. Matthew, thank you. Overnight millionaires next. Malaga workmates celebrate a $30 million Powerball win.
You could halve your premiums, but it's risky. I'll break down the insurance gamble families are taking with everything you need to know.
And Kelly Haywood is live from Perth's spookiest street tonight. Kelly, we've got rain on the way.
We certainly do, Tomo. Our string of long, hot days are over for now. We do have a couple of millimetres on the radar, but I'll have all those details up soon.
"15 workmates are overnight millionaires after one bought a Powerball ticket, forgetting to buy the group's usual Saturday Lotto ticket, each member pocketing a cool $2 million each. The winning ticket bought from Malaga News Agency. It's WA's first Powerball win of the year, $2 million each. With insurance costs one of the biggest drivers of inflation, many West Australians are looking for ways to ease the pain of premiums. Quick fixes are delivering big savings, but as Money editor Effie Zahos explains, it's important to understand the risks.
In a world of bills and juggling expenses, more Australians are choosing to gamble on their insurance.
I have increased my excess on my car insurance and then also on the home insurance because that's just skyrocketed.
At the end of the day, I know there's going to be more money in my pocket.
Calls to the National Debt Helpline have soared to an average of $14,000 per month. And financial counsellors say car insurance has become a real concern.
What we think is happening, or what we see is happening, is that people are maybe changing from comprehensive car insurance to third-party fire and theft, and some not even taking out insurance.
And the consequences can be severe.
Where money is tight, issues like not having a car to get to work or not being able to continue to drive.
Homeowners are also adjusting their home and contents insurance.
People are doing 2 things to manage their costs. One is underinsuring deliberately, and secondly is increasing their excesses.
Some insurers now offer excesses as high as $10,000. Depending on your situation, it could halve your annual premium. But at what cost?
It does mean they're now carrying more risk, and insurance is meant to take away that risk from you.
For those underinsured or with no insurance, the risk is greater.
Not only would you suffer the trauma of a disaster, you would have no insurance to help you recover, and all the equity and savings you've built up in your property is gone.
So what are your options? Understand the trade-off between a higher excess and a lower premium. If you can't pay your excess, insurers can't reject your claim. Under hardship, your insurer may allow you to pay the excess in instalments or deduct the excess from the claim amount. Look for an insurer that doesn't charge extra for monthly premium payments. And don't always assume that bundling gives you the better deal. And never just automatically renew your policies.
Touch wood that I don't have an accident.
Effie Zahos, 9 News.
Turning now to a spooky trend on the market this Halloween, a specific type of zombie is being seen on the stock exchange. Finance editor Chris Kohler explains.
In the spirit of Halloween, let's talk about zombies. Zombie companies, that is. That's the name given by KPMG to listed businesses that have been in financial distress for 3 quarters in a row but haven't fallen into insolvency. So not quite dead, not quite alive. And the number of zombie companies on the ASX has gone up 31% in the last 6 months. So there you go. If you need a last-minute costume, you could go as a small mining company. That sector has seen the most zombies, according to the research. As for the market today, a minor fall. Woolworths, Wesfarmers and JB Hi-Fi held their shareholder meetings, and the reaction from investors was mixed. And the Australian dollar remains near its lowest level since August, one Aussie buying 65 US cents.
Time now to take a look at the price of unleaded petrol across Perth tomorrow. The average will be $1.72.1 a litre, but you can find it cheaper on Cowell Street in Lansdale, on Bannister Road in Canning Vale, or on Guildford Road in Bassendean. WA fishers are counting down to the busy crayfish season, getting underway next month. Here's Carl Langdon with a safety reminder, plus some impressive catches along our coast.
A reminder to check your safety gear ahead of the crayfishing season that gets underway the end of November, early December in the West Coast zone. Check that your flares are in date, that your marine radio and your EPIRB are in good working order. Trudy Morehouse is known in Busselton as the Squid Queen, and this is the reason why. She always posts sensational pics on Facebook. This is Emma, who has been on the road since September 23. She's currently enjoying WA's north and posed with a snap of her yellowfin tuna. Off the Busselton jetty, the Samson fish are being caught in good numbers, like this one from Ethan Grobler. Coke Didu nailed her first barramundi in the past week. This big fish was caught during a night fish. The land-based pink snapper catches continue to inspire. Juan Blundakis had a great session with these fish taking baits. In Dampier Creek in Broome, Brodie Taylor, fishing with his mate Ollie Farrant, hit the jackpot with this barramundi. It wasn't the only one either. In Exmouth, Jackie scored a nice daily double of crimson sea perch. Locally off the beach, A.U. Carr landed this magnificent little mulloway, and at the Warura station, the Spangled Emperor were plentiful off the rocky outcrops along this magnificent part of the WA coast. The crabbing season gets underway on the 1st of December between Perth and Minningup Beach, so make sure that you don't go crabbing at the moment. If you do go to your favourite hotspot fishing though, send us your pictures and videos to 9 on Facebook, and I'll see you here next week.
Thank you, Carl. Kelly's back with your weather forecast next, live from the spooky suburb of North Beach.
Welcome back to a beautiful evening here in North Beach. We've got so much happening down here. We've got the Greatest Showman, we've got some ghouls. I've even seen a few Donald Trumps around this evening. Now, it is quite a lovely evening. It has cooled down here on Christostenham Street. It's currently 25.2 degrees, cooling slightly from our day's maximum of 33. Looking ahead to the rest of our working week on the satellite, we could see some showers and thunderstorms over the Kimberley and South Interior, as well as the southern coastal districts, while cloud will start to build over the metro. Around the rest of the country tomorrow, cloudy and 17 ahead for Melbourne and a possible storm for Brisbane. And while we cross back into WA, it is very warm, but not as hot as it has been across the last week. Storms and 40 ahead for Kununurra. Much cooler as we head to the south of the state. 24 the top for Bunbury tomorrow, but Albany can expect a windy 28. Now, if you are taking the boat out tomorrow, we are expecting light winds up to 15 knots. Seas and swell would both sit below a metre. Taking a look at the suburbs tomorrow, 25 with it from Joondalup to Fremantle. A little warm in Kalamunda though, 30 degrees. In the city, we're looking at some light winds, warming to a top of 28 following our overnight low this evening of 16. Come Saturday, it's a near 10 degrees cooler than it was today. We could even see a shower or two with up to 2 millimetres on the radar. Partly cloudy and a top of 23 for both Sunday and Monday. Those showers are set to return come Tuesday, but they are only looking light. We could see a millimetre in the city City. Rain increasing on Wednesday, up to 2 millimetres expected. Then by Thursday, it will warm to 23 degrees with partly cloudy conditions. So it is a very beautiful evening here. Kids, say goodbye. This is good night from us on Christostenham Street in North Beach. One of the busiest streets in Perth tonight. Absolutely, Tomo.
Kelly, thank you, and I just love the outfits too. That is 9 News for this Thursday, October 31. Hope the kids enjoyed Halloween. Good night.